There are some very big plans underway for Trump's potential re-entry into the White House.
We are going to be prepared day one, January 2025, to hit the ground running as conservatives.
A group called the Heritage Foundation is currently developing a game plan to have boots on the ground the day he's inaugurated.
Project 2025 will ensure a conservative agenda is ready to roll on day number one.
Make sure that we, as conservatives, are prepared to hit the ground running January 20th, 2025.
They've laid forth an extremely intricate plan to staff not only his administration, but to change the fundamental makeup of every governmental entity so that it lines up as closely as possible with their vision of what America ought to look like. The Heritage Foundation is also planning to eliminate what they call the administrative state, which pretty much means scrapping or gutting every government agency that regulates anything: food, water standards, education, transportation. It sounds extreme, but this is literally their plan.
What we're doing is systematically preparing to march into office and bring a new army of aligned, trained, and essentially weaponized conservatives ready to do battle against the deep state.
They're essentially preparing to make over the government in their own image, which is a decidedly white Christian nationalist one. And these folks are not for play. I'm Dara Star Tucker, and this is The Breakdown. The Heritage Foundation, the nation's most powerful conservative think tank and lobby group, is gearing up for something called Project 2025. You may have heard about it. Well, it's as disturbing as you've probably heard. Worse, actually. The Heritage Foundation is a not-for-profit, right-wing public policy organization that's been around since the early 70s. It was founded for the explicit purpose of advancing conservative values in government. And you might think, that's not so horrible, is it? There are liberal think tanks that do the same thing, right? Nowhere near this level. Besides being funded by scores of multimillionaires, the Heritage Foundation is extremely well organized and is determined to wield its influence at every level of government. They combine forces with over 50 of their fellow conservative lobbying groups to form a sort of right-wing Voltron that will undoubtedly represent the most far-reaching consolidation of power that conservatives have been able to amass up until now. They've pooled their influence and resources and have released a plan that they spent $22 million developing that's basically a war manual for orchestrating every detail of Trump's next term. Right now with Project 2025, they're soliciting tons of conservatives to submit their resumes and credentials to their website so they can continue to build a right-wing LinkedIn of applicants who will be vetted, interviewed, trained, and ready to step into their new positions on day one of a second Trump presidency.
Right.
They're even advising them on how to start applying for their national security clearances. They're not wasting any time. They're gearing up for the re-implementing of something called Schedule F, an executive order that Trump signed October of 2020 that would have allowed him to change government policies so that he could fire a bevy of civil servants whose jobs aren't considered political. It's estimated that around 50,000 government employees fall into this category. He didn't want anyone working in government who wasn't going to be a willing foot soldier for his agenda. Biden shut that down immediately. Trump is planning to reinstate it. So with Project 2025, they want to defund the Department of Justice, completely gut the Environmental Protection Agency, get rid of the Department of Education, the Department of Commerce, and the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, which funds PBS. They want to get rid of the National Endowment for the Arts, get rid of the Commission on Civil Rights, get rid of anything that protects consumers, supports marginalized groups, or regulates businesses. They call those agencies governmental waste. Funny that the Defense Department isn't on that list. They're recommending that all diversity, equity, and inclusion programs in government be scrapped and that any protections for the LGBTQ community be done away with. The document confoundingly refers to trans people as pornographers and pedophiles and says they ought to be jailed. The line between the church and the state is egregiously crossed again and again. Trump's not going to read the document. He'll get the highlights and let the Heritage Foundation do the heavy lifting. This is a 1,000-page document that he is absolutely not going to take the time to read. The thing that has always made the Heritage Foundation so effective is their ability to condense their policies into bite-sized pieces, so legislators and government officials have a quick reference sheet to know exactly what their position should be and how they should be voting and setting policy. The Heritage Foundation has liaisons on Capitol Hill whose job it is to coach lawmakers on these issues and frame things in a way that they can quickly understand when it's time to cast their votes. And honestly, this isn't even the half of it. And if this sounds alarmist, good. Bells and whistles should be going off in your head right now. Even if the Heritage Foundation is only able to accomplish half of what they have on their wish list, this is not good. And there is not a single solitary soul that is paying me to say this. Do not unplug. Do not bury your head in the sand. pay attention, and keep your hands on the wheel. And as Maya Angelou told y'all, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.